Raymond Calloway, 44, parks the Model T at the Main Street curb at 3 in the afternoon and does not look at it again. This is October 14th, 1913, the last time he will stand at this intersection. He has been at this corner since 1902, when there were 4 automobiles registered in the county. There are over 600 now, and on a Thursday they come through in numbers he could not have imagined then. He stands at center and uses his hands, left arm flat for stop, right arm raised for proceed. His shoulders, after 11 years of this, are built differently from any other man on the force. The Model T has 31,000 miles on it, bought secondhand from the department for $41. Its engine has a low, slightly uneven idle he would recognize in a crowd of 100 running Fords. The device at the works yard is a cast iron housing, red and green lenses, an electric motor on a timer, a bronze bell. It will stand on a post at this corner and do exactly what he does. He was 23 when he took this assignment because no senior man wanted it. Standing in a road felt undignified. He stood here the first morning for 9 hours and came home unable to close his fists. He began counting vehicles in 1907, kept a notebook in his coat, marked a line for every automobile between 8 and 6. By last summer, the count was touching 350 on a fair-weather Thursday. He watched the city change from this spot. Horse traffic thinning, manure giving way to exhaust, storefronts changing their signs. He watched it become a different city, standing in the same place while it happened. On March 7, 1911, a Packard touring car ran his signal and struck a delivery wagon broadside at 30 miles an hour. The driver, a man named Fisher, survived but lost the use of his left hand. After Fisher, one question would not leave him. Why is there a man in the middle of this road? Not a rail, not a wall, a man with his body between the machines and each other. He did the first drawings at his kitchen table in January 1912, wife asleep, a gas lamp making a circle of yellow light. He drew the same box 40 times before it looked like something that might work. He has not told anyone what tonight is. His partner knows the signal goes in tomorrow, not that Calloway intends to work his full shift one last time. He requested the overnight himself without explanation. Before we follow Calloway any further, if this is the kind of story you've been looking for, subscribe to the channel. Every video here is built around a real car, a real road, and a life that changed somewhere on the asphalt. No filler. If that matters to you, the subscribe button is how you tell us. And leave a comment. Have you ever driven a car old enough to still need a crank starter, or known someone who did? Now, back to Calloway in his corner. The light is going at 5:30, arc lamps flickering on, traffic thinning to delivery wagons and the last streetcar east. The T sits at the curb, a black shape against dark brick, headlamps cold and unlit. He thinks about the motor inside the signal housing. 5 watts, Geneva drive, 2-position rotation, sourced from a clock manufacturer in Chicago for $3.40. The motor will outlast him, and that is fine. He chose red and green because that language already lived in the body of anyone moving through American infrastructure. Railroad, maritime. His invention was not the color. It was putting the color on a post and removing himself. By 6, the commercial district is quieting. Last delivery horses stabled 2 blocks east. Calloway eats nothing on shift. He learned that in the 2nd year. His body works better without weight in it while standing. In the boot of the T, a canvas tool roll, a spare inner tube, and a brown paper packet of the 6 remaining technical drawings. He meant to remove them weeks ago. He has not. The signal will have a bell, his addition to the final drawings, late in the process. He pushed for it against 2 city engineers who called it unnecessary, and he won that argument on a Tuesday in August. By 8, the street is mostly quiet. A produce wagon north, 2 Fords east on South Temple. The arc lamps throw amber circles on the cobblestones, and he stands in one, not counting tonight. He saw Fisher once after the accident, on a streetcar in 1912, damaged, wrist-gloved, despite summer heat. Fisher said it wasn't his fault. Calloway said he knew. Neither of them entirely believed their half. His arms have lost some sharpness, not from age, from repetition. 11 years of the same 2 gestures, the same slow pivot from north-south to east-west. His left shoulder has a catch the department doctor called occupational wear. At 9, the street is nearly empty. 1 Ford north, 1 man with a dog on the far sidewalk. He stands at center with nothing to direct, in the road simply because this is where he has stood. He can see the Wasatch Range from here on clear nights, a dark edge against the eastern sky. The mountains do not care about traffic. He has always found that useful to remember. At midnight, Calloway steps off the intersection for the last time as a traffic officer. He walks to the curb, lights a cigarette, smokes it in 3 minutes, drops it, and puts his heel on it. He walks to the T, cold for 9 hours, checks the spark advance, sets the choke, cranks through, and it catches on the fourth pull, settling into that familiar low, uneven idle within 30 seconds. He drives north on Main, headlamps throwing a pale arc on the cobblestones at 20 miles an hour. The storefronts are closed and dark, upper windows, some of them lit, a cat crossing State Street. He passes Temple Square, the granite face catching the T's headlamps for a second and releasing them. He has passed it 10,000 times and never entered it. The engine's echo bounces off the stone and the road opens. He opens the throttle on 2nd North, 30 miles an hour, wooden spokes sending every road crack up through the chassis, wind off the windshield frame like cold water. He holds it for 1 block, then eases back. He has thought for years the road gives something a room cannot. Something about forward motion, the ground always new under the wheels. He has been standing still for 11 years and is finally moving with it. He turns east on South Temple toward the mountains he cannot see, driving 2 miles until the street thins into residential, brick buildings giving way to wood frame houses with dark windows going brown in the October cold. He thinks about the drawings in the boot, 22 months of paper. He started with a weighted pendulum in January 1912, abandoned it in March, started again with electric rotation, failed 3 times before the 4th version held. He turns at 13th East and heads back, asking again the question from Fisher, why was there a man in the middle of that road? Because no one had built what should have been there, until someone did. He drives past the intersection, the post already standing, driven in yesterday morning, and slows to look. 6 feet of pine, a crossarm, 2 empty lens housings. By noon tomorrow it will be running. He pulls to the curb across from the post and lets the T idle. The engine runs with that familiar catch and release at the carburetor like something breathing. And this sound at this moment is something he will carry. He has built other things, a bookcase, a chicken coop, the crib for his son in 1905. None of them cost what this cost in the currency of hours alone at a table while the city slept. He thinks about the bell, 5-inch bronze from a San Francisco ship chandler, heavier than the motor itself. He tested its tone against street noise at 40 yards on a Sunday in an empty lot behind his house. At 1, he drives west, the city at its quietest. A bakery on Pierpont is working, bread through an open door, a man in a white apron in a yellow rectangle of light. Calloway passes without slowing. He will miss the count, the daily tally that made 11 hours of standing into something with numbers and pattern. He will miss the October light coming low from the east, hitting the storefronts like a painting. He drives the length of State Street, T at 25, headlamps reaching 100 feet. Beyond that is darkness and the suggestion of the next block, and he drives into it without hesitation. He sees his intersection from 2 blocks south, arc lamp, the post, 4 empty approaches, and slows through the center. The T carries him through in 3 seconds, no arm raised, no signal given. He parks 2 spots north of his usual position, sets the brake, cuts the ignition, and sits in the cooling silence. The arc lamp is 40 feet away. It's like crossing the hood through 11 years of street grit. He gets out and walks back to the intersection, standing at the center one more time, not on duty, just a man in the middle of a road at 1:30 in the morning. Nothing to direct. 2 minutes still. He walks to the post and puts his hand on it. 4x4 pine, driven 3 feet in, cross-arm mortised and bolted with 1/2-inch iron. He built none of it himself, but he wrote what goes on top. He steps back. Tomorrow this post will have color and a bell and a motor, and drivers will see red and stop, see green and go, needing no explanation. He built what should have been there. He walks back to the T, opens the boot, takes out the brown paper packet of drawings, and sets it on the bench seat. Their work is done. The T goes back on patrol rotation in the morning. He will be back at 7 to watch the crew activate the device, standing on the sidewalk. He has already decided. When the first color lights, he will not walk out to the center again. He drives home on Center Street as the first delivery traffic moves. A milk wagon on 2nd West, a baker's van north on West Temple. By 7:30, his intersection will be running its first morning load without him. He parks the T in front of the house and cuts the engine. He takes the drawings inside and sets them on the kitchen table in the same circle of lamplight where they began without lighting the lamp. The device was activated at 7:47 on October 15, 1913. The first green lens lit and the bell struck, and 2 automobiles moved forward without a man in the road telling them to. Calloway watched from the curb for 10 minutes, then got in the T and drove away. The 1912 Model T was sold through the department in 1919 for $22. Raymond Calloway retired from the Salt Lake City Police Department in 1921. The intersection at Main and South Temple still runs a signal. The road remembers everything, even the men it no longer needs. If these road stories are what you want to keep watching, subscribe to the channel. More cars, more roads, more lives lived behind a steering wheel that meant something. And if you ever drove a car like this, or knew someone who did, tell us in the comments. What car? What road? Where it took you? The cars remember everything, so do the people who drove them.